Kia ora koutou, welcome to this week's live. It's Friday, I for one am ready for the weekend. Thank you for all the support, the well wishes for last weekend and for the TEDx, many of you who tuned into the live stream as well. So the video is probably about 6 weeks off now, I think. It's with the people at TED to get cut and edited and polished, and then anybody that missed it will be able to watch it via the video. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I've got to admit, despite speaking now for a fair few years and thinking I was on top of the nerves, last weekend made me nervous, and it made me realise there was a few tips that I drew on to help rein those nerves in. So I wanted to share that today as part of our live. So I do a lot of speaking, and generally I don't get nervous, but certainly this one did make me nervous. And I think that was because of having to memorise everything for 15 minutes. The fact that people you know are in the audience, the fact that it's been live streamed and there's thousands of people you don't know watching, the whole live aspect, you know, we worry when we perform or present that we're going to make a mistake, make a fool out of ourselves. And of course the stage that you're on, the polish that goes into that, it increases the pressure. And it's the same with anything. When we get out of our comfort zone, when we take a risk, when we do something new, when we challenge ourselves, we get nervous. Fear is normal. Those of you that have been to any of my sessions know that when I talk about comfort zone, I always talk about fear, and feeling uncomfortable is part of, a normal part of getting outside of our comfort zone. And so how do we rein those fears in? Because particularly where performance is concerned, whether it's a job interview or a presentation to the board or a sports game, where we're talking performance, nerves can often be our undoing. If we let that fear get the better of us, that's when we fluff our lines or forget something or miss the match-winning kick. So how do we keep a bottle on those nerves? Because they're there for a reason. So we have fear and we have this adrenaline running through us so that we can perform. It kind of lifts us, that increase in heart rate, sweaty palms, all that's there for a reason where performance is concerned. But there's a very fine line between making the most of that and then having that be our undoing and ruin us. So you might hear of lots of people that do star jumps or press ups or things like that before they go on stage. So what you get is this big kind of like energy lift. But if you've got lots of fear and anxiety and adrenaline already pumping through your body, you're probably not going to need to do that. In fact, it's the opposite, particularly if you need to memorize something, particularly if you want to appear grounded and calm and composed. So that was my aim on the weekend. And of course, the things you'd expect, like getting a good night's sleep, being prepared and organised, having things memorised, putting in the work beforehand, obviously that makes a difference. But so does surrounding yourself with support. So I was lucky enough to have my partner with me over the weekend, and just being the emotional support, asking me if I needed anything, helping prepare stuff, all of that, as well as the coaches that I had working with me that helped perform and help me perform and get me to that point. So the people we surround ourselves with, particularly when they're our cheerleaders, are fundamental where performance is concerned. And then of course there's other tips. So for me, mantras and affirmations is something I often talk about as tools and strategies. And I have one that some of you will have heard if you've been on my sessions, that I used to use in the early days of my public speaking when I was consumed with nerves. And it was, I'm calm, confident and capable. That one came back at the weekend. So I was backstage in my head, I'm calm, confident, capable. If you tell the brain something often enough, it will start to believe it's true. So that's a good tip. It doesn't have to be that mantra or affirmation. Find one that works for you, but you recite something often enough in your brain, it will believe that it's true. Opposite of that, what's the worst that can happen? So this is something I went through as I found the anxiety rising. I stopped and said to myself backstage, what's the worst that can happen? I fall over. My mic goes off, I forget my lines, I mess it up. And when we start going through those scenarios in our head, we find that actually the worst that can happen isn't that bad. So if I forget my lines, no one knows my script or what I was supposed to say anyway. And it's being filmed, so we can edit out any real mess ups that I make. If I fall over or lose my sound, well, that happens. And people are probably going to feel sorry for me, and that will help me on stage rather than hinder me. So when you start to go through all those things in your mind, your biggest worries, and rationalize them or bring solutions for them, of course it reduces their impact, and therefore there's not as much fear surrounding those things when we've rationalized what's the worst that can happen. And last but not least, my go-to, you know that I meditate a lot. And obviously that helps, not just whilst I'm meditating, but every other time in the day as well. So that helps me connect to that calm, peaceful place within when I do find my heart rate increasing and those nerves coming. Being able to take 3 deep breaths, being able to sit backstage, close my eyes and just focus on my breathing, I immediately feel this peace coming over me, and that helps me recenter and ground, and certainly be able to take the stage not looking like the bag of nerves that I might have felt. So I thought that would be helpful to share. And of course, the bottom line is it won't be perfect, and my performance was not perfect. So I'll confess to you that there were bits of my script that I missed out on the day, despite repeating it daily for about 3 months and reciting it and knowing it off by heart. That's what happens when our nerves get the better of us. And sometimes perfect isn't possible. In fact, that's probably one of the things I said as part of the TEDx script. If we let go of perfect, we don't get in the way of it being amazing. Because the thing for me, if I'd have stopped and started to think, how am I going wrong here? What should I be saying? Where's that bit that I missed and how can I weave it in? Then I'd have just lost my train of thought completely and probably caused a further mess of what I was trying to do. So being able to accept imperfection and carry on anyway is key when we're doing this stuff. So whatever it is, when you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're facing fear, you're feeling nervous, whether it be a job interview, presentation to the board, or some kind of performance, a few tips that have helped me and hopefully can help you. So I look forward to sharing the TEDx video with you when it comes out in a couple of months. In the meantime, thank you to all those this week that joined me for the Mental Health Awareness Week webinar, Master Your Mindset. It was great to share that with you, and thank you for your feedback and comments as well. And then next week it's the Women in Leadership program. That has come around really quick. We are into October next week. So I've got one place left on that. It's in Wellington. It's in person. If you're a woman and you're wanting to lead with confidence and progress your career, then there's one place left. I'll pop the link into this live. Otherwise, have a fabulous weekend, everyone. Ka kite ana.